You know, as long as I've been an artist and as long as I've been working in an art materials industry, I still really get how artists can be confused by their art materials. And sometimes that's simply in a name. So for instance, when you look at a color like phthalocyanine blue, and then one jar or tube says red shade and one says green shade, that's a little confusing. The same thing can happen with ultramarine blue, red shade and green shade. And that's what we're gonna look at right now. The two examples I have here, this is in the soft body range. And again, we can see ultramarine blue, green shade. And then in this one right here, we see ultramarine blue again, but this says red shade. So what we're really referring to is color bias. It's moving towards one shade or hue than another. So obviously the red shade is a warmer blue, green shade, a cooler blue. Now, when we look at these in mass tone, that's just as they are out of the tube, or in this case, out of the jar, we're gonna look at green shade over here and mix it with titanium white. And we do that, and I think to my eye right now, it looks quite cool to me. Looks like a cool blue. But of course, many of you will know that color is relative. It can change when next to another color or an adjacent color. So we'll take that, and then let's do the same thing. Let's mix with titanium white, but this time, and I wanna really make sure my palette knife's cleaned off well, this time we're gonna do this with red shade. And when we do that, totally different blue. You know, in the mass tone, again, I think the mass tone didn't look a whole lot different than one another. I think they looked a lot closer. But when you really mix with the white, this brings out the characteristics. It brings out that underlying hue, and you get a warmer tone here. So where this really becomes important is in your paintings and setting a mood, setting an atmosphere. So I'm somebody who works a lot with landscapes. So I really think about color bias when I'm considering that scene that I'm painting. So if it is something that is warmer, maybe a summertime scene and it looks really warm, I'm gonna go towards that warmer or more red shade hue. And if I'm doing something with water and maybe it's cooler, I'll go with that green hue. So consider that, and that'll be a great way to help you mix your colors and get the appropriate mood.